Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. And as we do that, we are really building into our own lives. We're going to say some nice things with the guidance of some of the I am cards that I have created. These cards are just full of positive, empowering affirmations, lovely things that we can say in order to affirm the truth of who we are. And so I'm excited that you're here. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I see that you have come over here. Amanda. Good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Shauna. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Lauren. It is wonderful to see all of you here today. So yeah, let's have some fun today. Let's work through an I am card affirmation and affirm something good. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pull a card. I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card. What I'd like for you to do is to say out loud, I am that affirmation. As we say these things out loud, we make them real for ourselves, and we ultimately completely change the way we think. And as we change the way we think, as we renew our minds, we are transformed by that renewing. So I'm really excited for us to do that today. So let's pull a card and say that today I am peaceful. I am peaceful. I cultivate serenity in my soul. So I am peaceful. I cultivate serenity in my soul. Are you peaceful? You are peaceful. You cultivate serenity in your soul. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write that down in the chat. And I encourage you to do the same exact thing. As we say these things, we mean them. And as we write them down, we bring them to life. So I am peaceful. I cultivate serenity in my soul. Good morning, Brenda Jean. I see that you have made it here also. You are peaceful. We are all very peaceful people, very serene people. We have that that inner peace that so many people are looking for. And so I am peaceful, and I cultivate serenity in my soul. I was looking around for an image to really help communicate this. As I create these cards, of course, the first step is to find words that I would like to be described by, and to create some supporting statements. And then the second step is to find a visual metaphor that helps us to really understand, to helps to really drive the point home. And so I chose this like placid mountain lake that's just reflecting, almost like the clouds up top and the clouds down below are reflections of each other. And ultimately, peace is very much like that. Peace is a reflected thing. When we are peaceful, when we are serene, when we are unbothered and unworried by what is, we are reflecting the beauty of what is. And so as we are peaceful and as we cultivate that serenity, we ultimately get to have that that inner calm. There are so many there are so many things in this world that exist that could potentially disturb that calm. And as we cultivate serenity, we give ourselves the gift of being still. That stillness is such an important thing because it allows us to be a more accurate reflection of what is. Think about civilization. Think about all the hustle and bustle of civilization. Think about a big city. Think about all the stuff that's moving around, all the energy that's moving in a big city, and really stressful that can be. Not that cities are bad, just that there's a lot of things moving. There's a lot of stuff. Really happening there. And consider also nature. When we go out into nature and how everything just sort of seems to be in its place. Brenda Jean wants to know a story about how I became peaceful, and I'll tell you a story. So I remember there was a time when I was living down in Costa Rica, and I was going to do a border run with this guy who was visiting. Basically, a border run is when we have to go and renew our visas. And this guy was very much, I mean, this guy was a lifelong hippie, and he had bought a car in down in Costa Rica, which is almost never a good idea for an expat to buy a car down there. But he had done that, and so we hopped in his car. We were driving, and as we were driving, literally everything was falling off this car. This car was just breaking. I mean, if we ended up on the side of the road once, we ended up on the side of the road a dozen times. And I remember that each and every time that we ended up on the side of the road, I was thinking in my heart, I was like, wow, this guy's time in Costa Rica is done. He spent all of his money on this car, and this car is just letting him down and just consistently leaving us on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. And and then every single time that the car broke down, some situation would happen that would get him out of it. And so, I mean, I remember it so vividly. We were in the middle of these, we were in the middle of the coffee fields, in the middle of the country, in the middle of nowhere, and the alternator falls out of his car. You know, the alternator is a part that you really need in order for a car to keep moving under its own power. And I was stressed out about it, and he wasn't. And he's like, "Oh well, everything always seems to work out, so this will work out too." And I'm like, "Man, you are just like so far away from your own support network. I know that you don't have any money, and now your car is breaking. I couldn't see any way for it to end except that he just abandoned the car and started walking home to America, 5,000 miles north." And as that happened, as we're both having our own thoughts about what is, about the situation that we found ourselves in, and this guy comes down the road who not only speaks English but is also a mechanic and also happens to have an alternator in his truck and also happens to install it and also doesn't really need or want to accept money for it. And my mind was just blown, and I realized at that moment, I was like, this guy has no this guy that I'm riding with has the better perspective. And I just remembered that at the time. I was thinking to myself, I was like, it I am limiting myself through my worry about him. And I decided at that point that it was time to just cultivate some of my own inner peace and to recognize that my life has been proceeding ever since my birth, and that nothing has gotten me yet, and that all of the things that I'm worried about, for the most part, have not happened. And so that's just one of the stories about how I personally was able to really shift my own consciousness toward a more peaceful idea of what happens in life. And so I am peaceful, and I cultivate serenity in my soul. And I think about that guy. His name was Sam. I think about Sam when I cultivate that serenity. Every time something crazy is happening or my imagination is running away with how bad things could be, I think to myself, I'm like, yeah, but I've been in situations that were basically untenable and found my way out of them with great peace. And so why on earth would I be worried about something that hasn't happened yet? One of my favorite quotes about peace is that faith and fear both ask us to believe in something that hasn't happened yet. And that's something that I consider. I'm like, okay, something is happening and I don't know exactly how it's going to shake out. And I could either be afraid about the future or I could be at peace about the future. In either way, no matter how I choose to feel, the future hasn't happened yet. And also, the future, probably won't happen in the exact way that I think it will, good or bad, because in the end, it almost never had. Brenda Jean says that the human brain has evolved to be a predictive machine, and certainly it has. And but ultimately, while we are pretty good at predicting what will happen in the very, very, very immediate future, and we're reasonably good at predicting cause and effect, time and chance happen to us all. So let's be peaceful about what's happening in the future. Amanda says that she lives her life with the serenity prayer, and it's kept you going. And absolutely, that serenity prayer is an absolutely beautiful one. And so, let's have some more peace in our lives. Let's cultivate that serenity. And as we do, other people will gravitate toward us, because that kind of peace is an attractive thing. Every marketer on the planet is trying to sell you that inner peace. Every religion on the planet was formed to try and make up some rules that would give us that inner peace. But ultimately that peace is an inside job. We have to come to a mental place, to a mental space where we are looking forward to what is next rather than being afraid about what is next. Because ultimately we have lived a unique life up until this point, and we have never really accurately guessed what was going to happen in our day. And so worrying about it is a waste of energy. So I am peaceful today. I cultivate serenity in my soul, and you are peaceful as well. And so let's just go and let's go out into the world today, and let us spread that peace around. It's just been a very peaceful wake up call. I want to say thank you to all of you for coming by and really being a part of it. So thank you so much, Amanda, Shauna, Frank, Lauren, Brenda, Jean. It is really good to see you guys here today. I saw Josiah. Good morning, Josiah. I see also that you arrived for the call this morning. We are peaceful people. We will return tomorrow at 9 a.m. for another wake up call. We're going to go through yet another affirmation. And the cards that I pulled today are digital, but I actually do have a physical version of these, and I am making even more of them. So if you are interested in having physical versions of these cards in your life, if you need to have messages to empower yourself as you are going through your day, send me a private message. I'll be happy to get you a deck. Until then, I love you and care about you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Aloha from paradise.